Visit America, the don'ts of visiting the USA. So obviously my goal is to visit the US. So yeah, this video could be quite helpful. What things should I not be doing when I go there? Since starting this channel, I've learned so much about the USA already. There's so much about America that I want to go and see. But when I do go, I'll be putting all the videos up on this channel because there's going to be so many things that I need to try. Just before we get into the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. It'll massively help out the channel right now. But yeah, let's just get into the video and find out the don'ts of visiting the USA.
Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Walter's World, and today we're in Mystic, Connecticut, in a beautiful place here in the U.S. And today what we have for you are the don'ts of visiting the U.S. because anywhere you go in the world, there's things you should do, but there's also things you shouldn't do. Sunset. And this video is going to just cover the U.S. in general, okay? And our first don't for when you visit the U.S. is don't touch the Americans. Look, Americans really like their personal space. It's like they have a bubble around them, and if you get too close to them, they feel very, very, very...
I'm not going to lie. I'm exactly the same. Sometimes you could be talking to someone. I don't know, is it a thing by country? I'm talking to someone sometimes and they'll be getting a bit close. I feel like saying, you know what? Are we going to kiss in a minute? But I can completely get that. So yeah, that's definitely not something that I'm going to do wrong because I enjoy my personal space as well. So
very uncomfortable, okay? So make sure you give them a little distance when you are there, you know, because I know when I go to Italy and Spain and stuff, be like, Mark, how's it going? All this stuff. And my American friends sometimes go, wow, they're really, really affectionate.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it is. Here, space is key. The second don't I have for you is don't count on public transportation. Look, when we were in China and we were throughout Europe and South America, we took buses and trains and planes and all kinds of stuff to get all over the place because public transport is really developed. Here in the U.S., you cannot count on public transport to get you a lot of places. Yes, in big cities like New York and Chicago and stuff like that, you can get around with public transport and it will take you where you want to go. But a lot of towns, small towns especially, and middle-sized cities, the public transportation...
Do you have Primark in America? Is this a clip from America or is this somewhere else? I'm not too sure. But public transport, I grew up in London. Public transport is key. You don't really need to drive a car if you live in London because you can get an underground train. You can get there's buses that go 24 hours a day. Then I moved out of London. Yeah, it's so different. Where I live now, you pretty much need to drive. The buses, they're like the first bus comes at like 8:30 in the morning. And then it's like once every 2 hours or something. Oh, it's silly. I drive, so I don't know the full details. But yeah, the difference between living in London and living where I live now, yeah, it's massive. Maybe your public transport's a little bit more like where I live now, and people don't really use the public transport.
Networks are not very good, and at night sometimes it's not very safe, so that is kind of a frustrating thing. So yes, you're going to probably have to rent a car when you come here, okay? So just have a heads up for that. I'll be renting a car anyway. And that kind of leads into the next don't I have for you is don't underestimate the size of the U.S. The United States, it's, you know, continental U.S. is like continental Europe. It's huge. I mean, would you think of driving from, oh, I'm going to do, you know, from Lisbon to Paris and then go up to Tallinn and then head down to Sofia? No, you're like, that is insanely far. It's the same thing when you come to the U.S. I meet a lot of travelers that are like, oh, I'm going to fly into New York, grab a car, drive down to Miami to see Miami Beach, and then head over to L.A. I'm like, dude, you got 2 weeks? You're going to spend the...
I already knew this because, yeah, I looked into it before. There's places I want to go, obviously. I'd like to go to New York. I'd like to go to Las Vegas. I'd like to go to Miami. I'd like to go to Texas. All those places, if you look it up, it's just not happening. It's not happening in a week or 2 week stay. You're going to have to do multiple trips if you want to visit that many places. It is crazy the size of the USA.
The entire time in cars. The distances here are insane. So what I recommend is picking a region. So, we're going to stay here in New England and see New England. Or we're going to go in the southeast, go to Atlanta and Savannah and Charleston, things like that, or visit the West Coast. You do that to get a better idea of the culture there and things like that. But also, it's just the logistics things because it's so far between the places. And to go along with that, for Americans, a 3 to 4 hour drive, that's a day trip. Like my parents live 3 hours away. I will literally get up, go drive, have lunch with my mom, and then drive back home just for lunch. 6 hours in the car. No big deal. It's about 7 hours when we start.
Do you know what I think the difference is? If I wanted to drive 3 hours, I'm probably going to spend about half a day's wage just putting the petrol in. Or should I say gas? In the UK, we call it petrol. Unless you've got a diesel car, you put diesel in. But yeah, it's expensive. And it keeps going up more and more and more. Just to go about an hour and a half away now, yeah, you're talking 30, 40 quid. What's that, like $50, $60 just to go an hour down the road? I think that's what maybe the difference is. So when I look at a distance of somewhere to drive, I'm thinking, how much is it going to cost? More so than how long it will take me.
To think, that kind of is a long drive, and we drive the entire way through. Okay, this isn't like, oh, I must stop every 2 hours and have a 15-minute break. Oh, no. We drive all the way through, okay? Now, my next don't for you when you come here is don't think that the sticker price is the end price. Look, in the U.S., we have sales tax. I know other countries, they have VAT, value-added taxes. They're already put into the price of products. So when you see, oh, it's $1 or €1, I only pay €1. In the U.S., it is not like that. We have sales tax, so a certain percentage is added onto that product. And
so sometimes when I go shopping, I kind of go in with like a budget that I know I want to spend. So if I got to the end and they said, oh, well, it's this much, which is more, I'll be putting things back. I'd have to put things back. Yeah, I'll go in with a budget in my mind. I go by what it says on the shelf, and that's what I want to pay. Different places in America have different sales tax. Yeah, it would just confuse me.
The thing is, I cannot tell you what the sales tax will be where you're going to travel because it's different everywhere.
Yeah.
Cities, states, counties, different products have different sales taxes, and some products don't have sales taxes. Some cities don't have sales taxes. Some have 10% sales tax. It can be different anywhere you go. So if you're going to go get your dollar menu item at a McDonald's or a Culver's or a wherever, it's not going to be $1. Where I live, there's 2 cities right by where I live. One, it's going to be $1.08. The other one, it's going to be $1.09. So be ready for that. And it's not just the sales tax. Also, there could be the tipping on top. And that leads us into the 5th don't, and that is don't forget to tip. Look, in the U.S., you tip 15 to 20% at a sit-down restaurant, okay? Now, McDonald's, stuff like that, no, you don't tip at a fast food place. But if it's a sit-down restaurant where they bring you your food and stuff like that, you will tip them 15 to 20%. If you are in a group of 6 people or more.
I never really thought about McDonald's. So I know in America you tip. I never thought about McDonald's. I don't know why. If I go to a restaurant and it's good in the UK, 9 times out of 10 I will tip. I will tip something. I'll go to the barbers. I'll tip in the barbers. That's something my dad taught me. My dad taught me when you go to the barbers, always give a tip, and then you get a good haircut the next time you go. But yeah, I do tip in restaurants unless it's a restaurant where you pay in advance or something like that. I think, yeah, obviously I'd be expecting that if I went to America.
Sometimes they automatically put the gratuity on there, which sometimes can be 18% or something like that. Look, when you come to the U.S., there's a reason why the food is like so affordable. You're like, wow, it's cheap to go out and eat in the U.S. It's because there's kind of this understanding that the service fees and paying for the workers and the waitresses and stuff like that, that goes on to you, the person eating there, with the tips. So the food and stuff can be cheaper when you go out to eat. And I know a lot of people say, I don't believe in tipping and this tipping isn't the right thing. They should pay their people more. Well, if you want to pay more for your food, they can do that, but they don't. Okay, so tipping is something we do here in the U.S. So do tip that 15 to 20%. Well, also, if you're at a bar and you're buying drinks, you're going to want to tip a couple dollars here and there. Otherwise, the bartender might not be too quick to come back and get you your next drink. So following off of those tips, what you need to realize is our next don't is don't be freaked out by the over-the-top service and free stuff you sometimes get in the U.S. Look, because of tipping and commissions and stuff like that, yes, there is a lot of over-the-top service here. But the thing is, in the U.S., the people actually are pretty nice and they want to help people. And sometimes for some travelers, if they come from countries where people don't get a lot of service sometimes, it can be a bit much, so don't freak out about it.
He said free. What free stuff do you get?
Also with that is don't be freaked out with some of the free stuff you get when you go to restaurants.
What's
Look,
the
if you go to
stuff?
a restaurant and they bring you bread and water or chips and salsa and all those really good things, that's included in your meal. Okay, so if you're going to be buying something, they're going to give you some free stuff. It might be some bread, it might be a salad, it might be a water, it might be something like that. So don't be like shocked when like, wait, I didn't order this bread, I didn't order this salad. Oh no, that comes with your meal. Okay. Now,
yeah, I think I'd be like that. Like, I don't want to pay more. What is this? Yeah, it probably would confuse me. But if it's free, you're like, yeah, we need more free stuff in the UK.
The thing is, though, you can't just go in and get chips and salsa and walk out, all right? You actually have to order some food when you go there. Now, my next don't for you is don't smoke cigarettes in the U.S. If you're smoking cigarettes in the U.S., people will look at you like you're trying to kill their baby. Cigarettes is like totally verboten, like people really frown upon it, which is funny because when they talk about marijuana and stuff like that, people don't seem to care as much, but cigarettes, oh, you're trying to kill my baby with that cigarette 2 blocks away. So if you do smoke, make sure you try to find a place where you can smoke.
I don't know if I'm thinking Pulp Fiction, I think, where they're all smoking. So I always assumed that smoking was quite a big thing in America.
There's a lot of restaurants, or pretty much all restaurants, hotels, stuff like that have smoke-free. It's smoke-free, so you got to go like 15 to 20 feet away from doing things, so that can be something. So I've come here outside my favorite liquor store to give you the next don't. And that is, don't try to buy alcohol unless you're 21, or cigarettes unless
that
you're
seems
18
so
or
crazy.
over in the U.S. They will not sell them to you. And the thing is, don't forget your ID, because if you look like you're 40 or under, they may ask you
40.
for that, and don't get mad at them.
40 or under. So I would get ID'd in this shop. Definitely I would get ID'd in this shop, because I'm not 40. Yeah, that's crazy. Because in the UK, we could drink at 18. In all fairness, most people go in a pub before they hit 18 and get away with it. But yeah, 40? If you look under 40, you're going to get asked for ID. But regardless of that, you've got to be 21 anyway.
And because if they don't ask, they could get in trouble and get fined. So don't be surprised, because we've had friends that have come here, try to buy alcohol, and they're like, sorry, you don't look old enough. Oh, I don't have my ID. Too bad. And the thing is, it's not just the person buying. They might ask anybody with you, so make sure everybody has their ID if they want to buy liquor, or they want to buy, well, they want to buy alcohol, or if they want to buy cigarettes. So just FYI on that one. Oh, that's also another don't I have for you is don't bother with a metric system.
What's that age to buy cigarettes in the USA? Because in the UK, it used to be 16. It used to be 16, and then all of a sudden they moved it up to 18. Yeah, we changed it about 10 years ago. But in America, what is the age? And has it been that age for a while? That's something I'm curious about. So let me know in the comments the age you have to be to smoke in the USA, and if it's always been that age limit as well.
When you come here, we don't use meters, we don't use kilometers, we don't use liters. It is inches, feet, miles, gallons, pounds, things like that. And I'll put a conversion.
Let me look at this. Okay. Right, this is just where the UK gets confusing. So we do use gallons sometimes, but majority we use litres. We use foot, but when it's under a foot, we do use centimetres. We do sometimes use yards, mostly use metres. We use miles, no clue about kilometres. I had a hire vehicle a little while ago, and that was in kilometres. I didn't know when I was going through a speed camera whether I was speeding or not, so I had to go a lot below the speed limit. So yeah, kilometres is definitely not a thing in the UK. Pounds we use, kilograms we use, ounces not really, mil, yeah, we use mil as well. So yeah, we're just confusing in the UK because we're kind of mixing it up and using a little bit of everything.
Version chart here to show you, but honestly, you may say, hey, how far is it to this next town? And they'll tell you, oh, it's like 60 miles. You're like, what's that? Just know 60 miles, it's about 100 kilometers, okay? So just do that, because the people here
have no
won't
clue
get
about
it. I mean,
kilometers.
I have people, when I'll tell them, oh, it's 100 meters away, they're like, 100 meters? It's like 100 yards. Oh, okay. So make sure you do know your imperial system, okay? Because metric, we don't do that so much here. So our next don't is when you do come to the U.S., there's a couple things you don't talk about, okay? One is gun control, and two is politics, because no matter where you are, you will get people on either side of the spectrum, and they will have an argument with you. So it's best just to lay off those topics, talk about the weather. Oh, wouldn't it be nicer if it was sunny today and we could go sailing? Yes, that would be much better than discussing gun control or politics. Just putting that one out there for you right now. Now, my next don't for you is don't assume that all the U.S. and all the Americans are the same. Because I know a lot of people say, oh, you're a typical American. Well, it's like saying you're a typical European. Look, the U.S. has all kinds of different cultures, all kinds of different people, all kinds of different topography and scenery and stuff.
It's a big country. Why would anyone think that everyone's going to be the same? Someone from one side to the other? It's like thinking that I'm going to be the same as someone who lives in Spain or something.
like that. And when you come here, don't assume it's all the same. You will see regional differences in cuisines and how people treat each other, and how everything looks, all kinds of stuff. So don't just think there's just one kind of American. They're all fat, slobby guys with ponytails. No, there's actually a lot of skinny people in America too, not just fat guys like me and my buddy Jeff. There are those. So don't assume it's all the same, all right? So do go out and explore. And that's why I always say is if you're going to come to the U.S., go and explore different regions because you'll get a really different feel. Because going to the Southeast and seeing the plantation homes and going to see the southern towns down there versus going to the Northwest and Seattle and Portland, or going to San Francisco, or going to the Midwest with Chicago and Milwaukee, you're going to have a very different feel, which is really a cool thing to do. And you start to understand is, wow, the U.S. does have a lot of different cultures within it, a lot of different feelings when you go around here. And following on with that, I guess I would say another don't is don't assume there's no culture in the U.S. because there are a lot of cultural centers out there. If you go down to New Orleans,
People
you see a
think that.
very rich culture there. You go to New York or Boston. Here in New England, you have a very distinct culture. In the Midwest with Chicago, Milwaukee, you go to the West Coast. I mean, there's a lot of different culture here. Historic culture with the Native Americans, or more recent culture here. I mean, you have all that here you can really take in. And saying there's no culture in the U.S., it's not really true, because there are all these different cultural centers with great museums like the Art Institute of Chicago or the Met in New York, the Getty in LA. There's all kinds of stuff you can see and do when you are here. For a cultural trip, it's not just seeing beautiful landscapes and seascapes like we are here in Connecticut. There's a lot more to it than that. Now, my next don't for you is one that I kind of get a lot of questions about. We actually have a video on this, and then that is, don't think that how are you or how's it going is actually a question. Look, when we say how's it going, how are you, these kind of things in the US, it's not a question, it's a statement. It's like saying hi. Okay, just take it as a hi.
I suppose it's like in the UK we say, you alright? I might see someone I know, I'll be like, you alright, mate? It's not a really like a question. You don't want someone turning around and saying, well, yeah, not really. Like, I kind of, I've had a bit of a bad, yeah. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. It is literally just like a hi, how you doing? But yeah, it's just hi, really.
Hi, because a lot of people say this. Everyone asks me how I'm doing. When I try to tell them how I'm feeling, they're like, well, I was just saying, how are you? Here, how are you is just hi. Think of it that way. It's like in France, ça va, ça va. How's it going? How's it going? We're good to go. In Portuguese, tudo bem, everything good. You answer back, tudo bem, everything good. It's just, how are you? How are you? You move on, okay? So don't think it's an actual question, all right? Now, another don't I have for you is don't expect a lot at the fancy hotels. You're thinking, oh, I'm going to pay more money for this hotel. I'm probably going to get nicer stuff, like a nicer breakfast, better Wi-Fi. Oh, no. For some reason in the U.S., it seems like the nicer the hotel, the more you have to pay for the things you think would be free, like Wi-Fi and breakfast. So don't feel like you have to stay at the fancy hotels, because honestly, if you're going to be going out and exploring, you just need a couple beds, right? So stay at the hotels in the U.S., and the cheaper ones will give you free Wi-Fi, free...
Oh, wait, did that say, so you don't have floor 13? Because I've noticed a couple of roads recently, and they don't have the number 13 on the road. I don't know if that's a new thing, though, because it seems like on new build areas, they don't put a house that's number 13 because it's bad luck, which is crazy, because it's just a myth, really, isn't it?
Breakfast, all these kind of things, which is really nice, so don't expect that from the fancy hotels. Another don't I have for you is, don't skip out on the local food. Look, we're here in New England. We're here in Connecticut. We've been having lobster and clams and, oh my God, New England clam chowder. Oh, my tummy is just like, more.
I love my food.
It's fantastic. When I'm in the South, man, Southern fried chicken, mac and cheese, barbecue. Oh my God. The food in the different regions in the U.S. are great. So don't just go to chain restaurants. When you go to your hotel, ask them, hey, what's some local restaurants?
I love my food. I'm gonna try everything. You put it in front of me, as long as it's like not crazy, weird stuff. I'm gonna try it. I do enjoy my food.
Around here, what's some locally owned and operated restaurants, so you can go there and check out those places, because they really give you a great experience. And I find a lot of times those ones actually have better service than the chain restaurants, because it's a mom and pop place where the owner is the ones helping you out, and that is really kind of a cool thing. Now, my next don't for you is don't get sick. Look, healthcare in the U.S. is insanely expensive. And just because you come from another country doesn't mean they're not going to find you for the bill. All right? So if you're going to be coming here, make sure you get...
So this one seems crazy to me, because in the UK we got the NHS. But I'm sure I've seen things about Like, even having a baby costs a lot of money in the USA. It just seems crazy for me because we've got the NHS, we can go to a hospital, we ain't got to pay for nothing. The only thing I've got to pay for, if you don't have any benefits and you work full time, you got to pay for your medicine. That's about it. Other than that, it's all, you don't have to pay for anything.
Get travel insurance or trip insurance, so in case you do get sick or you do break an ankle or you do break an arm or something happens to you, your insurance will cover it. And you might have to pay it first and your insurance pays you back, but at least you'll get something back because healthcare here in the U.S. is insanely expensive, okay? So make sure you're prepared for that. And I guess my last don't I'm going to have for you is one that people actually got mad at me for when I lived in other countries when I told them the U.S. has 50 states. And they said, no, the U.S. has 52 states. Look, don't think the U.S. has 52
I thought it had
states.
52.
The U.S. has 50 states, okay? Just a heads up on that one. I'm sure that people are going to be commenting down below that when I was in school, they told me 52. No, there's 48 on the mainland, and then Alaska and Hawaii are 49 and 50, all right?
Okay.
So those are our don'ts for visiting the U.S. What are some of the don'ts you have for the U.S.? Because I know there's more out there. I just want to get some of these out there to help out travelers heading to the U.S. just so we can get things going.
Very interesting video, very good video. I'll definitely check out more of these videos. When I do manage to hit America, when I do manage to travel over, all the videos will be going on this channel. So yeah, that'll be an interesting thing when we get there. Like I said at the start, I really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. It'll massively help me out right now. But I'll see you on the next reaction.